All right, what's going on, everybody? Today I'm joined by my man, Khoury Crenshaw, former Michigan track star, also known as Khoury Clean. Let's make sure we let people know we may or may not get into that. We call him Khoury Clean from time to time. What's up, Khoury? How you
Yes,
doing, man?
sir. I'm good. How's it going, Taj, and everybody? How y'all doing?
Man, I'm excited to have this guy on today. Him and I finished up working together about 2 weeks ago, and it was just a great – I hate to use the word journey. It's so overused these days, right? But we had a great time together, got a lot of work done. I'm excited to see what the future holds for Mr. Khoury Clean. And before – like I always talk about, anytime I bring someone on, it's so that former athletes who are going through the transition right now, or, you know, this is even if you're like mid to late 20s, early 30s, because the transition is not just something that happens right after you finish playing. It's a process. So anybody watching or listening right now, I want you to really pay attention to Khoury's story and listen to some of the tips and some of the insights that he gives that can help you get to the other side of it or get through that process. So just to dive right in, Khoury, can you talk about what life was like for you immediately after you left Michigan and your track career was over?
Yeah, it was a slippery slope, kind of to say the least, you know, because it's I thought a little bit about this question here, and you know, it's one of those things that everyone goes through in a sense, or in a way, in a time. It may be different times. People end their careers at different times, you know, and just being a student athlete and having been fortunate enough to go and be a collegiate athlete, you know, everything's just been planned. Everything, you know, from middle school, elementary school, you know, you go to school, if you play sports, you go to practice after, you know, you have your life. You do the same thing in middle school, you do the same thing in high school, you know, you do the same thing in college as well too. So everything's just kind of been planned. And then all of a sudden, you know, if once your career is over, if you're fortunate to go to the next level, then you're still going to be doing it. But, you know, once your career is over, and mine was over after I went to college at Michigan, you know, it was just I was like thrown out there into the world. You know, it's just kind of like I'm starting over from square one, and where do I go now? So, you know, it was you experience different feelings, you experience different, you know, emotions. You're trying to fill the void that was once there of having that sport, you know, of just always going to school, always going to practice. And, you know, even with not necessarily having, you know, I have a bachelor's degree, but, you know, not necessarily having a major that was going to be transferable over into a job that I wanted right out of college. You know, I was put into that situation where I'm looking to find that next move. You know, I'm looking to start jobs. I'm trying to start a career, figure out what exactly I want to do. And, you know, so it's tough. It's definitely not easy. And I don't think it is really for anyone, because it just feels like, you know, you're empty. You lost something that you've known your entire life. So now it is, you know, now you're in that transition phase of figuring out what the next move is there. So, you know, yeah, ended up getting a job out of college, and, you know, have actually had three different jobs, you know, and they all haven't been exactly, you know, what it is that I want to do. I'm still on my path of figuring out, you know, where exactly I want to be, and you know, where I want to go. And thankful for Taj, you know, I found him, was able to add some insight and help me out on my journey of doing this. But, you know, you're just kind of square one again, you know, so it's a interesting time, and, you know, it really, you got to figure yourself out. So, you know, it's different. The track ended, I lost something, so trying to figure it out.
Right, yeah. You used the expression being thrown into the world. And, like, I think back to when I was done playing football, that's exactly how it felt. It was weird, man, because I was bitter towards, I guess, coaches. I was bitter towards everybody. I was, like, blaming everybody. Like, how come nobody prepared me for this? You know what I mean? And I had to it took me a while to snap out of that and be like, well, I mean, at the end of the day, my school, my coaches held up their end of the bargain. You know what I mean? It's not, nobody guaranteed me that they were going to help walk me through the next chapters of my life. I think it came from me just being super, I don't want to say not arrogant, but just really thinking that everything was going to work out, or just kind of, you know, because as athletes, everything gets handed to us. Like you said, we exist in that bubble, and everything just kind of comes to us because we're good at something. So the world comes to us, And then once you're no longer doing that thing, it's like, hey, you got to figure it out. Can you describe was there anything else outside of, I guess, being lost or not knowing where to start and what career path to go down? Was there anything else that you were dealing with at the time or even right now?
Just, you mean like outside of like just overall, I guess? And
yeah, more just related to like once you were quote unquote thrown into the world, right? Aside from being like, man, I don't know what career path I want to go down. Was there anything else related to like track no longer being a part of your life that was difficult as far as like challenges you were dealing with?
Yeah, I mean, I know definitely the job search is definitely going to be the first and biggest one. But I think another one is just trying to figure out yourself, who you are outside of your sport at the end of the day, because yeah, we all student athletes, grow up and you have that sport to fall back on. You know, Others that may not necessarily have other skills or didn't necessarily focus on other things while they were in college and just focused on sport or their degree there. Maybe you gotta figure out what it is that you're truly passionate about that may not be a sport, or something of that sort. So of course, just regular life. I mean, familial things. Moved back. So I actually moved back from, so went to University of Michigan and then moved back to Ohio, in Cleveland, Ohio. And then, started working there and, just kind of wasn't, I guess I want to change, to be honest, at the end of the day. And so my mom actually lives in Tampa, Florida. So I'm actually in Tampa, Florida now. So, I left Michigan, went back to Ohio, have family there, lived there, was still on my journey trying to figure it out there. And then I just up and make a transition to Tampa, Florida, where I'm still making that transition, So you can imagine there's some things that are going on in my head, things that are going on in my life there, other than trying to figure out a job. I do here, live with a parent down here as well, but, new environment, new, trying to make new friends, trying to join new groups or new clubs or, things of that sort. That's all things that play into to a factor of figuring out, what I want to do in my next move as well. So yeah, I mean, there was a move was a big one as well too, trying to meet new people, trying to figure out my next move and there's a couple different factors that
Right.
and were going on in my life after I graduated and left Michigan. So yeah, there was a couple different things.
For sure, man. You brought up a big one. I don't think this is really discussed enough, and that's living in this bubble of being an athlete on campus and then going back, and whether that means going back home or, like you said, being in a new environment. For you, it was like you went back home, and that's probably difficult enough in itself. Like you're back, almost like back where you started in a weird kind of way. Like, I don't know about you, but I always imagine like when I went to school, after I graduated, I would be, I don't know, maybe living in New York where I went to school, or I would come back home, but not like back home to my childhood bedroom, but like back home and maybe somewhere in California. But I think I don't hear it discussed enough where it's like you go from that bubble to going back home or having to figure out where you're going to land. So it's not just what is my life? How is my life going to unfold? What is my career path going to be? But now it's like, what am I doing? Where am I going? Where am I at? Where do I want to be? All these other questions start to creep in. Like you and I both know people, I'm sure, who after they left, graduated from school, went right back to the hood. Like you and I are fortunate enough where we have families who, we can lean on and come from good households. You and I both know people, man, they went back to areas that probably weren't the best environment for them to be in. Or like you said, even in your case, like you went back home, but then you moved somewhere. That's tough, man. While you're trying to figure everything out, you're in a new state. Like, no, aside from your family, you don't know anybody. Like that's tough, man. One of the things that I wanted to talk to you about, because I noticed this about you from the jump, like from our first call, from whenever we first connected, you're about solutions, right? And I recognize that in you right away, because you were wanting to do something. We talked about how a lot of people are in places in their lives where they're unhappy. They know something's missing. They want to be better in some way. They want to do more, achieve more, figure something out, get clarity around something. But there's a whole lot of talking about it, which is okay. But at a certain point, we know you got to shift gears and start looking for solutions. So what are some for everything we've been talking about, whether it's the transition, whether it's like just being lost career-wise or just not knowing where you're going to end up, what solutions would you give to a former athlete who was in your shoes or who is in your shoes right now?
I think mentorship is huge for former student athletes. I was thankful just even, reaching back and going back to, when you reached out to me here on LinkedIn. As a student, as a former athlete, you have a great network of individuals that you honestly can reach out to. You may not know it or realize it, but that is one of the fortunate things that we happen to have. I mean, there's plenty of former athletes that went to our university and other former athletes that may not have went to our university. So the fact that me and Taj were even able to connect here, and I could see some guidance from someone who had been in my position, who was lost, who didn't know, same exact position here, same exact position, took a couple of jobs, just to have a job, get the bills paid and figuring it out while you're on your journey there. So I would definitely say mentorship, reaching out to anybody, whether that is a past teammate, someone who has been there, in your exact position there, or, of course, somebody like Taj, someone who's works with student athletes all over the place and that are in the same spot exactly as, people of my caliber, my same exact position there. And so networking, I also think that goes into networking as well too. Especially, if you have gone to a college, your network is network is your net worth.
Your net worth. Yep.
So,
yes, sir.
It's huge. I mean, it ultimately is what it comes down to at the end of the day. And, I'm a big believer on it's who you know rather than what you know at the end of the day. So, to really get your foot into the door of, that next career or transition, talk to people. I mean, that's the biggest piece that has helped me as well too, to get some insight, to start to figure out my path, where exactly I want to go, and looking at other individuals, whether it's reaching out or on LinkedIn, whether it's there's Instagram, there's Facebook. I mean, there's so many social media platforms that you can see other individuals that have been in our place, or may not even have been in our place, but are doing things that you may want to do. So the key, and closed mouths don't get fed. I do believe in that as well too. So really reach out, really use that networking tool, that networking piece there, and get your foot in the door. Begin it, because you'll get to where you want to go. So you just got to meet the right people, be around them.
Yes, sir, man. I can't even tell you how important what you just said is, because when I was going through it, which is why I'm so big on it now, networking, reaching out for help, talking to people. Like you said, it doesn't have to be a mentor or a coach. It doesn't have to be a therapist. It could be a teammate. Like you said, it could be a family member. It could be someone who's not even necessarily related to like whatever field you want to get into. It's just someone like, hey, I respect this person. I like what they're about. I'm just looking to connect. I think that's huge, because for me, one of my biggest shortcomings during my transition, the reason why it was years instead of like months or whatever for me, is because I was so isolated, and I was in the mindset of no one understands what I'm going through. I was in the mindset of I have to figure this out on my own. I have to look tough. I have to pretend like I know what's going on. When in reality, someone like yourself comes out and you already went into it with the mindset knowing, like, because you're about solutions, once again, you already go into it with the mindset knowing that, okay, if I really want to get to the other side of this or find some clarity or get some support or, put myself in position, it's going to require me reaching out to other people, lots of other people, like as many other people as possible. You're doing that right now, which I think is great, man. And I think that's actually a perfect segue for us to talk about what it is, like what's next for Khoury? What's next for what you're doing in your life, how you see the short term unfolding and then long term unfolding, just next chapters.
Yeah, I mean, I have right now, I'm again in Tampa, Florida, relocated down here, actually been down here for about a year now. So, started a new job and I'm in sales. I'm in sales recruiting right now. I have for a healthcare company actually. So, I have a decent job right now. It's paying the bills.
Right.
But, I know that that cubicle office life just definitely isn't for me for the long term. So, having connected with Taj here and just going through his program there, he's already put me on to quite a few different individuals in his network there. And, I've networked with, individuals from his network and then individuals from my own. So I'm actually in the process of doing that here now. And I've developed a couple mentors, from both, and have gotten some guidance already of, whether my next move is exactly to go back to school, possibly, get a master's. I do see that in my future. Again, whether it's, right away or in a few years, that's going to be one of my things that I know I want to do. But right now I'm just networking to really try and get my foot in the door. I do believe I really want to be back into the athletic sports industry. So whether it's sports student athlete fundraising or more sports business or even student athlete development. Those are the fields that I really am looking into and getting back into. I just have the itch to really make a purpose, or have a purpose and be able to touch individuals, whether that's helping them, helping athletes, develop their skills, or, just as a personal skills, or, even tell my story, tell my story of how I got to where I got to and where I'm at now. Cause I know there's going to be people that are in the same boat. So, so that, those are goals of mine. Again, just doing a lot of mentor or networking right now, planting seeds, trying to put all this stuff aside that's going on in the world right now, and really just touch base, hear people's stories, hear them out of how they got to where they got to, so I can get back into the student athlete and student or sports industry, I guess, just to say overall. So, planning to get back into the collegiate atmosphere. Ultimately, either sports fundraising or student athlete development there, but getting a master's degree as well too, I think is in my near future as well. So, yep.
Yes, sir. Man, it's so important that you know why you want to do it too, because we talked about this on our calls, where a lot of former athletes, they tell me that, hey, I want to be a coach, or I want to get into student athlete development or something like that, and it sounds good. But a lot of times what's really going on, I'm always careful with that, because what could be going on is they just want to be near the sport because they don't know anything else. Whereas in your case, what you want to do with, whether it's fundraising or student athlete development, or just working on campus, working with the students or student athletes, through like multiple exercises, multiple conversations we had, it was clear that was going to be a good fit for you. Not just like somewhere where you feel like you could be safe again or be involved in sports or something like that, but actually fits your personality, fits who you are, fits what you see unfolding for yourself and for the rest of your life. And I think that that's really important. Aside from that, man, I think, and you kind of alluded to it earlier when we were talking about advice that you would give to student athletes who are in that kind of lost phase. And you talked about networking and stuff, right? And that's great. I think it would also be really important for you to talk to a former student athlete right now who is lost. Is there anything else, or maybe who is like just feeling kind of worthless? You know what I mean? Like, I'm thinking about myself, like, who am I without football? Mm-hmm. So if I'm listening to you, like, okay, Khoury's telling me I need to network with people, and I need to figure that out. That sounds great, and I'm going to do that. But what advice would you give to someone who has no clue what they want to do and how they want to do it, stuff like that?
Yeah, I do. I am a big believer as well. And as I'm going through my process and in my my journey, into trying something. You may not because you're not going to know. I mean, there are very few fortunate people that, just come out of college and directly just know exactly what they want to do. So, I do think failing is really a big teacher. Teaches you huge lessons, of figuring out where exactly you want to go. I think that is honestly the biggest biggest teacher right there, because and even if you try something and you absolutely hate it, it's it's a great lesson, because that's exactly what you don't want to do. So now you got to it puts you in that mindset of, hey, I got to work, I got to, I hated that, so I'm not going to do that again. So what exactly do I want to do? I'm going to try something. I'm going to work so I can get to, to my next, I'm going to get to where I want to be, or do something that I do appreciate a lot more. I can stand and go to, get up and wake up every day and look forward to going to it. So, try something, definitely get out there, whatever it may be. Again, reach out to individuals, talk to the parents, anybody that can get you in the door somewhere. Apply for jobs at the same time, of course, but even getting your foot in the door as well too. I do think it's better to reach out to individuals on a face-to-face type of basis, so that they can put a face to a name, that you have this individual here, this is where they want to be, so that's already a step up on the competition that you have there. But I would say try something, fail. Because again, if you come out knowing or having no idea what you want to do, as myself did, I knew I thought I wanted to get into sales, or, something along that sort of, working in office, and I've already had 2 jobs where I actually have done that. So, been able to make some money with it, and, of course I can stick with it, but is it what I know I have a bigger purpose, and, I want to be able to give back and really touch the lives of other individuals in a way that I want to and am passionate about. So, I'm a big believer of trying something, failing, and, because it's life, life is only going to go on. So you won't be able to know until you try it, to be honest. So, so yeah, if that's one thing, then I would just say try something, do something,
Right. Yeah, I think that's a big one, man. I think it took me a while, and I keep drawing back to my experience, because who you are right now is like who I could have. I don't want to say should have, because I am who I am, right? And that's what makes me who I am today. But I could have been like you and have that mindset. What I did initially, because I didn't know what I wanted to do, I didn't do anything. So I just drank and smoked and partied all the time. I would apply for jobs every now and then, but because it was like, I don't even know what I'm applying for, like, what's the point? But what you said is so important, because not only is it about doing something, trying something, tasting things, figuring out, I like this, I'll stay on this path, or I know I don't like that, so I'm gonna stay away from that. But it's really about, like, even when you end up somewhere, having that mindset of asking yourself the question, is this where I want to be? Always keeping your head up. A lot of us, we get our hands on whatever job we can get out of college, usually some kind of sales role, because they're always hiring, always looking for athletes. And then once we get into that role, we don't pick our head up and think like, okay, well, is this really where I want to be? Like, I'm not saying sales. I'm just saying, like, maybe sales. Is this like line of work? Is this company where I want to be? Like, am I thinking long-term about my future, or am I just sitting idly somewhere? Now, if you're when you listen to Khoury's advice, you might want to run that back to everything he was talking about. But when you listen to Khoury talk about trying things, also remember that if you're in a place where you're trying things and you're not liking what you're trying, then you got to adjust your strategy, or you got to start. Maybe that's the time to reach out to somebody for help. Maybe that's time to dig deep and figure out, okay, maybe I need to look at a whole different industry or something that I didn't think of. Like, start thinking back to childhood, whatever it is that's going to get you to a place where you're being smart, you're being strategic, you're not just taking whatever job you can get your hands on. So, I mean, we can go on and on about that, man. We'll save that for a different episode or something. And how can people get in touch with you if they want to reach out or ask questions or even help you and give you some guidance? How can people get in touch?
Yeah. LinkedIn is huge. I am on LinkedIn, all day, for my my job myself. So, yeah, feel free, Khoury Crenshaw on LinkedIn. Again, I can definitely send my information over to you, and then email as well. You know, former Michigan athlete, so I still have my University of Michigan email as well. So I'd be more than happy to send that over, kncr@umich.edu. And I'm open for phone calls, text messages as well too. I can definitely give that information out as well too. So if necessary, feel free. And then through Taj, of course too. So we're on a first name basis here. So if anybody anybody needs any advice or has any questions or advice to offer for me as well, I'm always open to learn and hear and experiences. That's really where it comes down to, and getting to the next level and figuring out what you want to do. So reach out to me however you can.
For sure, man. Okay, well, good. Well, thanks for sharing all the information so people can get in touch with you, man. I have some words for you, but I want to make sure you get your parting words in. Anything else you want to put out there to anybody listening right now?
It's just it's a journey, trying to figure everything out here. And, I'm definitely blessed and fortunate to have ran into Tosh here, and being at the age that he's at and having his experience as well. And, helping me along mine and helping me, keep my head straight and keep me motivated and just have conversations. That's the biggest thing as well too, that it comes down to, and talking to individuals there. So, hear other people's stories, that's the biggest thing. So, definitely reach out to Tosh here. Give him a shout out for allowing me to go through his program there. And, it's definitely awesome. It was definitely beneficial, and, appreciated connecting with you there every Saturday. And, appreciate you for setting me up with you individuals in your network there as well too. And they were awesome. So, just got to get to work here on my end, and, we use my 9 to 5 here to pay the bills and things, and then figure out build my dreams afterwards, on the hours after there. So, heard a lot of great insight, great information, great quotes from Taj here, and would definitely recommend anybody to you. So, if anybody needs anything from myself here, or can add any assistance, any advice there, feel free to reach back out to me. Love to touch base, schedule a time here, and then I'll add any advice that I can here, help you out on your journey. So appreciate it.
I love it, man. Khoury froze on me again. Can you hear me?
Yep, I can now. You froze.
Damn. What's the last thing you heard me say?
You just started to talk.
This is gonna be fun. I got some work to do with this editing process, man. I might have to put this out next week. So I was gonna do it on Wednesday, but I'm gonna wait till next week.
Yeah.
I'm trying to put some images out there without everything that's going on in the world, like we talked about. I'm like, I want to get this out right now. I want to put it out like on Wednesday, because we need to see more images of like Black men doing positive stuff. You know what I mean? Not to discount what happened and what's going on and what's been going on, but it's important for this kind of stuff to go out there too. In case it cut out earlier, what I was saying was, it was fire how you would say, use the 9 to 5 to build your dream. Like, people, if you don't get anything else from this conversation, use the 9 to 5 to build your dream. If you don't know what the dream is, figure that out, work on it, get some clarity around that. Your 9 to 5 is a temporary situation. It could be, if you treat it as such, or whatever 9 to 5 you're in. If you're comfortable working 9 to 5, at least use that 9 to 5 you're in right now to put yourself in position to where it's building your dream, or you're working at a 9 to 5 where you're actually enjoying yourself and loving what you do and making the type of impact that you want to make. So enough about that. We'll save that for another episode too. Khoury, I want to acknowledge you, man, and I want to thank you, because I look at it like I decide who goes through the program, right? I have a say in like who I want to work with, who I think is going to be a good fit, who's actually going to benefit. If I can't help somebody, I'll turn them away, right? But I knew from the jump, man, that you were definitely a good fit, and I knew you and I were going to get some work done, because like I said, you're about solutions. So this is a 50-50 process. It may seem like I did some things for you, put you in touch with some people. Yes, but what I really did was get you tuned up so you could do all that stuff for yourself, right? Like if I fell off the face of the earth today, you'll be good. You have everything you need to put yourself in position. And that's how it's supposed to be. And that's a testament to the man you are and who you're committed to becoming. So I want to thank you for allowing me to coach you, for taking the feedback, for taking the information, for doing something with it. Because that's how you make me happy. You make me proud by, I tell you something, you go do it, you get results, and then, okay, cool, let's work on the next thing. So thank you, man. I appreciate your time. I appreciate you allowing me to work with you, pour into you. This is only the beginning. We did our 2 months together, but, you know, hey, man, we're going to be in touch for a long time, especially since you're going to be working with students or student athletes. So this is only the beginning, man. We're going to look back at this interview 5-10 years from now and be like, wow, man, look where we are right now. And it all started with an 8-week coaching program. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So with that, man, I'm proud of you. I'll let you go. I know you got a million things to do today, so I'm going to let you get back to work. And we'll be in touch soon, my man. Thanks again for coming on. Appreciate you.
Appreciate it. All right.
All right, bro. I'll see you later.
Talk to you later.